So here we have the Xbox Elite Series 2 controller, long awaited. I've been looking forward to this ever since E3 of this year. So just a quick look at the outside boxing of the controller itself. Now, I never had the Series 1 controller, but I have been waiting for getting an Elite controller for a really long time because my controllers that come with the Xboxes I use a lot and has been severely worn down. And so this is what you get as soon as you open the box. The case stares at you immediately. You open the case and there you have it. The controller also comes with all the thumbsticks, the tension adjustment tools, the D-pads, but we'll go into that in a little bit. Right now, let's go ahead and take a look at the controller itself. So as soon as you touch it, you'll notice that it has a nice premium feel to it. All the buttons feel good. Everything clicks nice and easy. The thumbsticks are easy to take off and put in, but they're not going to be loosened, if you're just playing around with it. The home button's been redesigned with a good tactile feedback. Feeling it, very hefty, very premium, which it should feel since it's $180, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then here's the charging brick. So we're going to take this covering off of it. Now there is a little bit of residue that is left over when you remove that, but a moist paper towel, something slightly wetted, will be able to clean that up real quick. So charging brick, a very nice, good rubber base to it so it doesn't slip and slide. It magnetizes into the case, and here's a closer look at these thumbsticks as well as the D-pad and the areas where you can store your paddles if you're not using it. And so we're just going to look at the other things that come in the box real quick. Of course, it comes with this USB-C charging cable that's braided, which is a very nice touch to it. But I have a lot of other USB-C things, such as Nintendo Switch charger that is compatible. So definitely a good upgrade into USB-C. Also comes with a 14-day trial of Xbox Game Pass. I don't need it, but there's the code if you want to pause it and try to claim it for yourself. And we have the quick start menu, kind of a quick guide telling you how to read things, what the buttons mean, what the indicators are, and the warranty. Now the warranty, keep in mind, only 90 days. Most people, that's a very big downside. You can buy extended coverage elsewhere, but I think if you take care of this controller, you should be okay for at least a year or two. Okay, so now we're going to look at some of my other controllers that I have. Now I don't have a Series 1 like I said earlier. What I do have is a Gen 1 controller that came with the original Xbox One, a Gen 4 I believe controller that comes with the Xbox One X, and of course the Elite Series 2 that we're going to look at. Now we're not really going to compare those two controllers, but we will look at how kind of the changes have progressed as we move one generation onto the next. So between these two controllers, you can see nothing on the back. You have the AA case for it, but I am using rechargeable batteries by PowerA for it right now. Just giving a feel for the weight real quick. These two are very similar in weight, and of course the Elite Series 2 is the heftiest. Very nice premium feel to it. I would say the weight is a very good thing. One of the biggest concerns, downsides really, about the Gen 1 controllers, aside from the fact that there's no headphone jack, is the feedback, the tactile feedback of the bumpers and the D-pads. Very stiff, very hard to click in, definitely addressed by the time you come to the Gen 4 controller. Very nice feel, soft touch to it. And you can see the differences between the two as you move from one generation to the next, and how the home button area, one is integrated with the controller while the other one's more integrated with the bumpers. And of course, headphone jack, always a plus. So you can see things improve up into Gen 4, and then by the time we get to the Elite Series 2 controller, the bumpers, I would say it has more of a feedback than the Gen 4 controllers, but less of a feedback than the first gen. Overall, I would say the improvements are a good thing, right? Everything improved for the better in terms of the clickiness of the D-pad and the clickiness of the bumpers. So definitely something that is not a con at all for the Elite Series 2 controller. And joysticks move same. Now, one thing to keep in mind though is that the Xbox Elite controller, because most things are metal and interchangeable and there's magnets to it, a lot of things are going to be heavier, including the joysticks, so that might alter your sensitivity when it comes to something like first-person shooting. We look at the back, obviously there's paddles on the Elite while there's nothing else on the other controllers, and the trigger stops. So we have full trigger, half trigger, and short trigger. Personally, I really like the half trigger. Saves some time when you're dealing with shooters such as Call of Duty. And so let's turn this back around. Now, the feel of the controller itself, so obviously there's the rubber grips, but if you look at the non-gripped areas, it's actually a very, very premium velvety matte feel to it. Almost like a silicone rubber, but not. Whereas in the other controllers, you have a very standard plastic finish. And here we just take a closer look at the analog sticks themselves, the ones that come on the Elite controllers themselves. So this controller, the Gen 4 controller, it's been through a lot of wear and tear, so it looks a little bit different, but it feels the same. There's no big difference when it comes to those, other than the fact that with the Elites, you can take them off and replace it with something else. All right, so here's where there's a quick look at those two controllers compared to the Elite Series 2. Now, I would say that this controller is probably going to be the one that's going to be most used. We'll see how everything's going to hold up in time. Now, the Elite Series 4 controller, the controller in the middle, has seen about 2 years worth of usage, anywhere between 40, 50, 60 hours a week, sometimes even more. So that controller has been through a lot and has held up really well. So we're gonna have to see how the rubber on this Elite Series 2 controller, as well as the bumpers, the big complaints from the Elite Series 1 controller, holds up. So I'll be making a video in about 2 or 3 months just to detail how any of those changes or changes, if necessary, will be made. So this first controller I never really used too much, so it's still pretty good condition. I just never really liked it, so I never used it too much. This controller, like I said earlier, has been through a lot of wear and tear. The only thing is the right joystick has kind of shifted to the right, so if I don't touch my controller and I'm playing Call of Duty, for example, my ADS, my red dot, will move to the right just very slightly. And of course you get dirt and grime on it, but overall it's held up very nicely. So interesting to see how this controller will hold up over time. Like I said earlier, in about a month or two, probably in January even, I'll be making a video to see how the rubber grips and everything else hold together and give another final thought on it. So there it is. There is the quick look at the Elite Series 2 controller. In my opinion, if you have an Xbox One X and don't have an Elite controller, this is definitely worth upgrading to. I don't think there will be any regrets. Now, do keep in mind, if you look online, there's going to be a lot more negative reviews of Elite controllers, just because people with complaints write reviews more often than people who don't have complaints. So keep that in mind, but otherwise, I would say it's a pretty good purchase. You can see here how strong the magnet is. Obviously, there's no cable anchoring it down, but the magnets are pretty strong. If it's in the case, it's not going to come out. But like I said, there it is. I'll leave a link to where you can buy the Xbox Elite Series 2 controllers in the description. I hope you enjoyed.